We are in part 2 of our book, Living with Art, Chapter 5, Principles of Design. The principles of design, you can see here, include 5 topics, basically. Start our slideshow. Unity and variety, balance, emphasis and subordination, scale and proportion, and rhythm. What they're talking about is what's happening within the composition, and I'm going to give you the definition of composition right here so you can kind of refer to it. And it's also, you guys can really use the glossary at the back of the book. Even if you have the ebook, it's still there. You have to scroll to the back. But these definitions are pretty uniform, so even if you Wikipedia'd it, Wikipedia'd, if that's a word, looked up this definition, you'd get a pretty similar definition. Okay, so it's within what with the organization of the elements, right? And we covered the elements in chapter 4, so you have some idea about color, shape, form, etc. Now, artists design their composition using guidelines. So as the principles of design, I would really say that that's more of traditional sort of Renaissance or artists that are working in a realistic mode, and or it's for designers. Graphic designers really do want you to respond in a particular way. Sorry about my rooster again. To their logo. Okay, so they're using the principles of design more consciously. A lot of abstract artists aren't really using them consciously at all. Okay, so backtracking a little bit here: unity and variety, visual and conceptual unity and variety. Balance is visual weight, symmetry, and asymmetry. Emphasis and subordination includes the focal point, scale and proportion. Hierarchical scale is part of that, and rhythm. Okay, has repetition. Okay, our first piece we're going to look at is Oceania from Matisse. And you can see here there are some, this is an abstract piece, obviously. And he's saying it represents Oceania. So you kind of get in that definition of representational versus non-representational, abstract, and so on. So this has somewhat of a representation of the ocean. That's what he's telling you, at any rate. And it's highly abstracted, okay? You might say that these curved pieces are wave-like. Mostly what he was looking at with his paper cutouts, which you're going to do a project very soon using that concept, were the organic sort of forms found under the sea, like coral and leafy things like seaweed, okay? So that's enough on content, which we'll get to later. But at any rate, the principles here are unity, and the unity is these rectangles being repeated. Now they're not all going the same direction. You know, that would be the variety, meaning the difference. The unity is the color. And you can see there's a lot of this sort of orangey, mustardy color. I don't know how it shows on your screen, but it looks fairly orange on my screen. A lot of blue. So there's repetitions of those things. So that creates unity. Our variety is that not all the shapes are going the same direction. We have geometric shapes, and I'm hoping you understand this by now, where the geometric shape has some right angles, and then an organic shape is a wavy sort of leaf-like piece, and it represents nature more often, hence the name organic. So that creates variety. Also, variety could be said to include, or be represented here is a better way to say it, with this drawn background versus the color here in the painting. So that's our variety, okay? So we're going to sort of define them here. You want to have a coherent whole. The unity visually would not be like a Mona Lisa off to the corner. That would not create unity. That would create like a disruption or, you know, disharmonious piece. Variety would be, so at any rate, sorry, going back here, would be the regularity of the shapes, those rectangles, and so on. Variety is the differences. Because if it's all the same, it can be a little boring. Okay? So the next one's visual unity, conceptual unity. And I'm going to stop there for the recording, and I'll start back in just a moment.